Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the No Payne podcast. Today, I am sitting with Marc Sharkey. He is the owner and operator of Dynamic Painting and Stucco Repair. Yes, you heard me correctly. He still does indeed do stucco repair. Slowly moving away and slowly gravitating more towards painting, which I don't blame him. But nonetheless, we are happy to have him here in the hot seat.
Really appreciate you having here. Pleasure to be here again for the second time.
Of course, it's good to see you.
Always a great place to be.
You look as good as you did last time.
Well, thank you.
It's
A
only
little
been
less
about a year.
mask.
Yeah, no, exactly. We can actually see your face this time around, and you're wearing a smile. You seem happy, and I guess that's all that really counts in the end.
That's what
all,
matters.
Right? So, a bit of a recap, I suppose, considering this is your second time on the podcast. But for any new viewers, why don't you explain to us a little bit how you got involved in the business and how you maybe came to start your own business in stucco and painting?
Well, we started back in about 2007 doing stucco repair, color matches. But, of course, the industry's evolved, and people are saying, well, we're not limited to these 20 colors with stucco anymore, and nobody wants those really, great hot pinks and blues and yellows anymore. So we're trying to change the palette a little bit more with the nice grays, the whites, a lot of these that are coming back into style at this point. And unfortunately, the best way to do that is not stucco. So we've gotten into the painting part of things and really grown and expanded and put this new division, Dynamic Painting, into our business. That way we can give you, the best treatment for your stucco, and we can give you the best treatment for the facade, the, what do you want to call it, I guess, the curb appeal. So we can give you whatever color you want, any color under the sun.
Right. Well, of course. I mean, having the option to choose any color of the sun is, or under the sun, is certainly important. Sorry, my phone's going off here.
You're a popular guy, Brody. I hear that.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I just got so many things to do, so many people to please. But I apologize for the interruption.
No worries.
Having a vast array of colors that you can offer to your clients is certainly extremely important. I'm wondering if whether or not there is a difference in color choice between, say, stucco or if you are painting. Are you painting over pre-existing stucco if you're doing exteriors or?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I'm just curious if, I guess if I revert back to the original question, if whether or not you can apply the same colors regardless of what style they choose, like say stucco versus painting.
Absolutely. So when we get into the stucco, there's only about 40 colors. But with the painting, we can match some of those 40 colors as well as broaden everything up and give you a nicer look. Stucco, a lot of times, will have a patina. It'll have, inconsistencies in the color when we're doing a stucco. But with a paint, since it is an acrylic paint that we're using on the exterior, what you'll find is that it's more consistent. It's a plastic coating of some sorts, and then that acrylic paint will give you a really consistent finish. So a lot of people are looking for that new home, look again instead of that older patina look. So we can match exactly what you have and then recolor it to make your home look fresh and new, or we can do a full color change. Right,
okay. I wonder just how difficult a process it would be to just kind of totally revamp the exterior appearance of a house. I mean, I assume you're painting trim as well as whatever siding style is there. I guess a better question would be, are there certain styles of siding that would allow for you to repaint, or if there need to be specific styles, or if there are certain hurdles you'd have to jump over in order to actually paint the house the way you'd like?
Yeah, so when we get into those kind of things, we can do the wood sidings, the metal sidings, we can do the stucco, the brick, any of that kind of stuff, your trim packages, smart boards, hardy board, all those kind of things, they can all be painted. We try to shy away from vinyl siding as it can warp, as it's a little bit thinner. You put a heavy coat of paint on there, and that paint will actually shrink. So it'll warp all the siding, causing other problems in that area. But all the other claddings, we can cover: acrylic stuccos, conventional stuccos. Like I said, all your trims, all your metal trims, we can do that. We also dye the bottom of the parging on the house. We can give you a whole new look for a fraction of the price of redoing the stucco.
Yeah, I figured that would be much more time consuming, obviously. I'm not sure if it's possible to, say, completely remove pre-existing stucco, if that is the style that currently exists. But obviously, if you are able to just paint over the pre-existing, that would certainly save a lot of time.
Oh,
a
for
lot
sure.
of money, of course, just using what you have already.
Absolutely. You've already got a great building envelope on the house usually, and then you've got that stucco finish. So it's got cracks, it's got chips, it's got nicks. So if we said, well, remove that, on a 2,800 square foot walkout, we're probably looking at $60,000, $70,000 to remove and put new stucco on.
Right.
To do that and just, fill those cracks, fill those little damaged areas, make it look like a brand new house, and then give it a full new color or, recolor back to the original, can do that at, say, a tenth of the cost. It's a no-brainer, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course, unless you got money to burn, right? Some people do, and I mean, maybe they just are lonely and they wouldn't mind having a crew around the house for a couple weeks or however long it might take. But I feel like a stucco demo and would take quite a bit of time.
It does. And I mean, there's so many different, options when you're thinking about that. If you're moving into a house, like the color, you just want something quick. Well, you spend all your budget on that. Or if you're moving out of the house and you want to, fix up the things that are very important and not worry about the, just the curb appeal or, the insignificance, the wants, not must-haves, you can just change the color and then sell that house at a much, better appeal, or with a larger appeal to more people. Instead of that bright blue house, now you go into a medium gray brown or something like that. Now it appeals to a mass amount of people.
Yeah, of course. Curb appeal is a huge
Absolutely.
Thing to consider. We have had quite a few real estate agents in the hot seat. And yeah, curb appeal definitely is a very large portion of the real estate game. Of
For
course,
sure.
Not just for the seller, but for the buyer and for the real estate agent, of course.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, being able to drive down the street and be proud to call that building your home.
Sure.
And the appearance definitely goes a long way. It's funny to think that back in the day, those bright pinks and blues were all the rage, and now it's all just back to tan, gray, whites, things like that. It's interesting how things change.
Well, we're looking at about a 13-year cycle. So what we do is we get into those robin egg blues and the pinks and all that kind of stuff, and then we go into maybe an espresso, charcoal kind of colors, and then we come back into the lighter colors, the whites, the grays, things like that. And then we start going back into those, blues and pinks and things like that again. It's kind of crazy how our world changes like that, but we always go back to what we know.
Of course. Well, everybody has a different kind of opinion on what would look best, of course, but then there are other applications when it comes to, I guess, a more nonchalant appearance. You would likely be familiar with the term gray man appearance.
Absolutely.
And so in terms of curb appeal, or like to be that one house on the road with a bright pink siding or what have you, that would certainly be a bit of an attention grabber, right? So I guess
For sure.
I guess it certainly is an important thing to consider when purchasing or with repainting, right? Just how much you really want to stick out in the neighborhood.
Well, that's why we're waiting for the hot pink roof tiles to come in, right?
Yeah, I'd be waiting. I'd love to put on it. I miss the days back when we would be installing like Owens Corning Blue Harbor shingles, right? They're
absolutely.
just vibrant blue and sometimes green and red. Those are really just the only three colors that you find typically, but it was a breath of fresh air when the shingles were anything but black or gray or brown.
Especially in 35-degree weather.
Yeah, no doubt. This would be a great time for me to remind the audience that we do indeed still run the Mystery Word Challenge. And I think I'm going to give you a hint. It revolves around painting. Painting will be your hint. It is not painting, but it certainly pertains to such a word. So anyways, moving forward. Let me rephrase. What, I guess, inspired you to pursue painting more so over stucco in the long run? Or I guess what really instigated these kinds of changes?
Well, at one point in time where we were looking at, a lot of the color matching stucco and repairing things like that, and people were quite happy with matching that. Now, some of these colors have become obsolete. So they phased out the colors, and now, much like, in your industry, when you're coming in, you're saying, well, I got to repair this roof, and I don't even have exactly the same shingle, or I don't have exactly the same siding.
Right.
It becomes very difficult in that sense when we've lost some of the dye lots and things like that. So people are saying, well, if I'm going to do all this work, maybe I'll just do a full change of color. So this is the easiest part of a change of color. So what we've done is, in our background, we're really big on building envelopes, as you've probably seen in the last podcast, stucco. So we want to use a fairly breathable product. So we stick away from the elastomeric paints. We go into more of the acrylic paints. This keeps the sheen down as well. It leaves a more breathable surface. We've done a lot of work with companies understanding UV protection. So now we can give you a house that's going to be a 10 or a 15-year paint job on there. Should be nice and vibrant colors for 10 to 15 years in the color you've chosen. It's going to leave a little bit of the breathability back into the stucco, and not like the elastomerics. And what that's going to do is it's going to keep your house healthy. So if you get some hail damage, you can usually touch that up fairly easy with the same paint, instead of bringing somebody out to do a stucco repair, color matching that, charging you a small fortune, whereas you can take some of the existing paint that we've left over, do small little touch-ups. House looks great again, doing that from a DIY perspective, right?
Okay, yeah, so it makes sense. I guess in other words, it seems easier than I had thought to kind of fold the painting into the pre-existing stucco business.
Absolutely.
Considering just how hand-in-hand the appearance of the siding is with say, painting and versus stucco.
For sure.
So,
and from there, we've kind of grown, and we've moved into the interiors in the last, say, 5 years. So we do full interior paint jobs. We do rental repaints. So if you've got tenants moving out, you need the place, cleaned up, looking really great for the next tenants to move in. Or you've got that $5 million home, you want that really nice custom paint job with feature walls and high vaulted ceilings and beautiful paint on the ceilings. We do all of that as well, including, spraying cabinets, built-ins, railings, all the spray work, all the finishing, all the cutting and rolling at a high level of proficiency. So paint has such a variety of applications. So if we're going to use, say, an acrylic paint, an acrylic paint will go on your walls, it'll go on your stucco, it'll go on, different areas. But you wouldn't put your acrylic paint on your woodwork, like your deck. You're going to want to use a stain. So there has to be some knowledge in that. A direct-to-metal paint, we want to use that on metal. You wouldn't want to put that on your walls. It'd be a shiny, it would peel off, it wouldn't, adhere properly. So there has to be a lot of knowledge with the different products, from acrylic paints, direct-to-metal paints, elastomeric paints, wood stains, clear coats, proper finishes, breathability, UV protection, durability.
There's a lot more to understand than I had originally, or I guess it's more involved than I had figured it would be. Understanding types of paint versus stains versus the other products that you had mentioned. For simple-minded folk like myself, could you maybe describe acrylic paints to us and what maybe makes this paint different from others in just a brief
So an acrylic paint, it'll have clays, it'll have polymer resins in there. It's great for interior surfaces. You've got different sheens, right? So you've got your low luster, like a matte finish or an eggshell, which is what we usually put on the inside of our house. Your acrylic paint will definitely go on the inside of your house, over your stucco, some wood products on the exterior, cedars, things like that, unless you want to see the wood grain, of course. But then you also get into semi-glosses, which was what we usually put on our baseboards, kitchen cabinets, your doors inside your house, window frames. So those are the kind of things. And then you're getting to the stains. So stains can be wipe or spray stain. Your cabinets are usually a spray stain. And then it's a clear coat lacquer over top, or a water-based lacquer, solvent-based lacquer. So each product has a definite upside, downside to it, application for it. So you really should have a professional. A lot of painters come in and say, paint is paint, put it on the wall, this is cheap, let's get it out of here and be done with it. But, everything's in the prep. When you're roofing a house, you're not just slapping down shingles and saying, there it is. I mean, we got to have breathability in there so that we're not going to get ice damming. We're going to make sure that we have ice and water shield in certain places. We have to have metal in the valleys. It's all about the prep before that roof goes on. It's the same thing with painting. Are we skimming the entire walls to give you a level 5 finish and then sanding them all out with a proper, power sander or something like that? Are we priming because it's a raw drywall? Are we using a high quality paint that's scrubbable for your bathrooms, kitchens, things like that, where the mold, mildew, things like that can build if you're not cleaning properly? Will that paint last? You're going to wipe it and it's going to have a streak forever. It's all about having the right product for the right application, and what you want to complete successfully.
Right. Wow. Yeah, no, it's much more in-depth than I had first figured it might be. You might be right up there with rocket scientists, to be honest.
Well,
because
just a little lower.
Maybe a little bit lower, maybe a little bit. But I mean, just to hear you describe, different types of paint and different types of products you would use in different areas of the home in the interior, and whether or not it would be the right match or the right fit for whatever product you're painting. I mean, it certainly is a lot deeper than I thought, because if I were to repaint my own, I'd probably screw it right up. I'd probably just be putting acrylic paint on everything. Who knows? But in the future, I would certainly just I'd search up this podcast online and have to rewatch this in the future, try to learn.
Well, there's so many other things. I mean, even like people say, well, this is a great paint. It's Benjamin Moore. And I said, well, Benjamin Moore has great paint. They have a lower contractor grade, and they have a much higher professional grade. Cloverdale, Dulux, Sherwin-Williams, they all have these lines. So it's not even just the name of the company; it's the brands within. I'm sure it's similar in the roofing world.
Yeah, I suppose so. Right. I'm curious if Benjamin Moore is the company that bought out Cloverdale Paint.
I don't know. I didn't think
Cloverdale Paint kind of just fizzled out.
Well, they're still around.
Are they?
They're Canadian out of Cloverdale, British Columbia. So they have some great products. I have some that I prefer from them, as well as other companies for different applications, right?
I just noticed some of their locations rebranding, right? I wasn't sure if that company had fizzled out or if it was purchased or not. I just wasn't sure.
I'm not sure either. But I know, like I said, it's the world of business, right?
Yeah.
We have Sears today, which is the largest company out there, and then all of a sudden it's gone tomorrow, right?
I heard they're coming back.
That's what I heard too.
that.
I think it would be great. Same as Zellers.
Yeah, Zeller's also.
We're ready for a little breakfast at the Zellers store, right?
Ricky's, I think, is what it was. Was it Ricky? I can't.
I'm
remember.
not
But
sure.
Yeah, they had a like a restaurant in the entrance there.
Absolutely. And that's what is great about business, right? Everything's always changing, so we're always learning. One of the things I had thought about is much like roofing. So with ice damming, can you give us an idea of how that kind of works, what ice damming is in the roofing world?
Yeah, certainly. So breathability, as you'd mentioned yourself, is a big player in this game, because if you have, say, a lack of airflow underneath the roof decking, say you have insulation packed too tight underneath the roof decking, there's no airflow, it can very easily allow for ice damming to be, it would increase the potential of ice damming. But again, it is prevalent in this area, as it is in other areas, because of the freeze-melt cycles that we go through. And with the lack of breathability, it can just allow for much more ice to build up in these areas, and it'll melt, freeze, melt, and start just building up more and more and more on the E-vents typically.
Perfect.
But as you said yourself already, just whether or not we have suitable conditions underneath the roof decking, and whether or not we're using proper underlayments, as you said as well, using an ice and water peel and stick underlayment in these areas to safeguard against any damage to the roof decking. Of course, there's a lot of different things that come together in order to safeguard against any severe damage that would result and can result with any major ice damming.
So that's a lot in the same ways what we deal with
Right.
stucco. So when you've got a stucco and you say you put an elastomeric coat on there, you're getting that same thing. So you're getting a water buildup behind the elastomeric coating, which isn't allowing it to breathe. So that water gets trapped in there. We can cause mold, mildew, even an ice layer in there can form. And then what it'll do is it'll expand. And as it expands, it breaks apart the strength, the integrity of the stucco, and it contracts, expands, contracts. And that stucco becomes sandy right behind that paint. And that's if you don't get mold or mildew, you can have other problems. Like I said, the integrity of the stucco. So that's why we've switched away from the elastomerics in a lot of our products after we've done a lot of research, and we've gone to that 100% acrylic. So that 100% acrylic, what that's going to do is allow what we call vapor permeability. So it allows for things to evaporate through the paint, places for the water to drain. And that way we're not getting that freeze thaw in there. It's keeping the integrity of the stucco, not holding moisture in against the plywood or OSB, and causing mold and mildew to grow as well. So that's why I always say, your prep and then also the knowledge of your product is so important. Because water, Calgary, sun, snow, ice, we're like the biggest diverse, climate around here, it seems.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, as you said, being knowledgeable of the products that you're installing is extremely important. It's important regardless of where you're located, but in Calgary maybe more so, considering the fluctuations that we get, and being knowledgeable about the products that are used to, I guess, make the paint that you decide to install or paint onto your property. It can certainly be a make or break deal, depending on what material you're painting, depending on which climate that your house seems to be in. It's a puzzle of sorts, I guess.
Well, it is.
Yeah. And
it's further into that as well. I don't know how much you guys get asked for design in roofing, right?
Yeah, well, in design, the appearance of the roof itself does heavily, it is primarily what roofing product you choose to install on the property, because obviously different color would change the appearance of the home.
Absolutely.
Whether or not that coincides with the appearance of the siding and what have you, or I mean metal products versus rubber products. But as for design, we seldom add any roof areas or frame in any other areas. It's not often, but it happens. Like a lot of times we'll find a very large, very wide chimney that is prone to having a lot of standing water behind the chimney itself. So we would go up there and build a cricket behind the chimney in order to help divert water away from it, things like this. But typically it's not very involved in terms of design or additional construction.
See, in painting, that is probably the biggest part, because what we're offering a lot of times is a want, not a need. So you guys are definitely a need, because I'm telling you, if my roof comes, I'm calling you guys, because it's a need, right? It's not, hey, can we make it blue, or it's, I'm leaking, we're ending it now. So.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the paint on the walls isn't the right color. I mean,
that's right.
There's no real ill effect.
No.
Unfortunately. Well, maybe mentally for some. But there's no real risk of any property damage or what have you. So
exactly. So that's why we've gone into a lot of the want ends on our website. So like our Paint Calgary site, paintcalgary.ca, by the way. If you go out on the site, you'll have some tools from Sherwin-Williams, Dulux, some of the other companies. You can actually upload a photo of your home and actually start playing around with getting an idea. Do I want the living room blue? Do I want the kitchen red? Do I want that cream color in this area? Do I want to change the color of the baseboards? What if I did my fireplace black? So you can actually design right on our one of the links on our website, and then that gives you an idea to start with. And then we've got 50,000 blues from there to work with. So that's why we come out and we can actually laser scan. So if I look at that great Certainty shirt that you've got on, I've got a little tool I can actually scan it right there on your shirt and tell you a really, really close color match to that right on site.
Right.
And then we can order that. We put a sample up on the wall before we do anything. And then you've got a chance to actually look at a good size swatch, not an inch by an inch. And you've had a chance to look at it, design it on the website, all these kind of things. Because, I mean, these are wants. When we want, I want a good burger, I'm going to that good burger place. I'm not going to, it's okay.
Triple O's.
Triple O's. I'll have to try that one.
Oh, it's White Spot had created like a drive-through, like a fast food chain.
Yeah.
Under White Spot, it's Triple O's. There's only one. It's down right near, down on 52nd and 114th. It's right down in the industrial area. It's the only one in town.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Best burgers.
I'm all about a good burger.
They're like $14 burgers, so that's the thing. Like they're pricey burgers, but they're the best. Anyways,
Those
side
are
tangent. Good. Triple O's. He said burgers. I mean, can you get me?
Hey, when it comes to food, I'm all about food. So
food is good.
Absolutely.
This piece of equipment you mentioned about, say, like scanning colors, is this a handheld device or?
Yeah, it's just probably about the same size as a Loonie or a Toonie.
Okay.
And I can actually bring it out on site, scan a wall, scan your favorite shirt. So if we're doing, say, your daughter's bedroom and she wants that really nice pink and it's her favorite teddy bear, we can scan that teddy bear. We can get that color match as close as we can and we can apply that to the wall.
That's cool. So it's like, is it like a miniature coin? Look, like how does it? What's it?
It looks like probably about the same size. Well, there's a few different devices that we have. Right. The one that we have kind of looks like a little diamond.
I see. Okay. Cool.
And then another one's a cylinder, and a few different tools. We're going to have them all at the Home and Garden Show in February. So we're going to be there February 23rd for that weekend. We'll have the laser scanning tools. We're going to have our iPads out. We're going to have some great information coming out in pamphlets right up on the TVs behind us, and some great staff who can answer all kinds of questions. So of course they can come out and they can check it all out and say, hey Mark, let's check out this tool. Want to have a little fun.
It's a miraculous piece of technology, and I say that only because it really saved me once when I was moving out of an old property. I had dinged up the walls pretty badly and there was no paint.
Oh no.
And I was worried about finding a color match. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take one more chunk out of the wall here, bring it into Home Depot is where I went. And they actually scanned this chunk of paint that I brought them and gave me an exact color match. So I'm assuming it's a similar technology. But when I realized
toothpaste in the ceiling.
Yeah, or that would work as well. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's the fact that these sensors are that accurate and they can really detect, I'm assuming, numerical values and whatnot. But
absolutely.
It's stuff of magic, it seems like.
Well, the world is changing, right? I mean, we're all QR codes now. We've got QR codes on our business cards and on our vehicles because, we lived in the world of COVID,
Right.
And we all knew what a QR code was at that point. So, we've adapted. And when we see a need in the business, I mean, even with safety, you guys with lanyards and harnesses and retractables and everything else, the world has to change to what we need to have done.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I mean, the need for improvement is always there, and somebody's always working on it, tinkering away, And, progress in technology and in safety equipment, what have you, it's inevitable.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that we're focused on. Our guys are, first aid trained and safety and WCB and, we're better business and liability insurance and everything you can do, we do to protect the client. That's why we don't take a deposit even at the beginning of the project or halfway through the project. We get paid upon completion. We like to walk through with our client and say, listen, it looks fantastic. Are you happy? Now that you're happy, here's your invoice. So we'd like to put the client first in every aspect, right? We'll help you pick your colors. We'll help you design your project. We'll help you assess materials. We'll help you just with every part of the process, keep you happy all the way through, and then you keep us happy at the end.
I can't think of a better way to really approach business anyways. I mean, it can be intimidating when they're asking for certain amounts of payment up front or
Absolutely.
halfway through, because it makes you really wonder about the integrity of the business that you're employing.
Absolutely.
So I certainly commend you for choosing to be extremely certain that the client is satisfied and that the job was done properly and with quality before you issue an invoice. So
absolutely. And
take note, business owners.
Well, and on top of that, if you're actually, if you have a client who's coming, if you have a contractor who's coming up and saying, I need a deposit, they need to have what's called a prepaid contractor's license. So that's a law in Alberta. So before they can take a deposit, a draw, anything else, they have to have a prepaid contractor's license or they need to be paid at the end of the project. So it's really important as far as it goes. We have been really blessed by our clients. We actually won the Calgary Reader's Choice Award this year. Fantastic. This is our second year running. So we've actually got it back-to-back 2 years in a row and up for a couple other awards from what I'm hearing.
Right.
But we're super ecstatic that we've got some of the best clientele out there. And we want to keep growing that and working with that great clientele and help them with future projects and new clients and just set a standard.
Of course. Well, you're certainly doing the right thing. I mean, getting involved with the home and garden, I believe, is what you'd mentioned. And, just getting involved in local podcasts.
Especially with No Payne.
Like this, with the infamous No Payne podcast, and just doing anything you can and everything that you can to help spread the word, help to promote yourself is obviously the best way in order to grow in the way that you'd like to.
Well, we've always liked working with businesses and partnering up with businesses that just have that same kind of attitude, right, who are clients first and profit second. And I found that with No Payne, it's always been that way, right? Like you guys are just right there for your customers. You guys are right there on every social media platform, just exposing things that are improper in the industry and how to do it proper and how for the client to protect themselves. And I always see that all over your Instagram. So to me, that was a no-brainer, is to partner up with you guys and work with you guys on things like these podcasts and work with our clientele as well. And
of course.
And that's what we want, right? I mean, stronger together.
It's mutually beneficial, of
Absolutely.
course, right? And to have other local businesses take interest in a partnership, in some sense of partnership, it's certainly heartwarming, if you want me to say that. But there is quite a benefit that goes along with just exchanging information. Being involved with other local businesses, because, for example, you have a client painting their house. Hey, do you know any good roofers?
Absolutely.
Payne Roofing and vice versa. Anybody who can quote maybe to paint the house or the interior? Of course, we sure do dynamic, right? So
absolutely, we do that with a lot of businesses. Right. Like we work on larger stucco projects. We work with Next Gen Stucco.
Right.
Dave over there, quite the character. Always fun to work with. Just a laugh every time. Amazing work. We've got like She Built that we recommend for renovations. We love to see women in industry. We promote that with No Payne Roofing. I mean, we can't do it all. I could probably do it all, but I don't want to do it all. So
yeah,
we'd rather
only so many hours in a day. And
that's
it's
it.
Easy to get carried away with working and they have that phrase or term workaholic for a reason.
It's true. It's true.
Certainly not a crown of a description, I suppose. I mean,
no, I still have to hold a sign up when I walk in the door. I'm like, I'm your husband and my wife, so my wife doesn't, react adversely and call 911 or something like that.
Yeah. Who is this man in the house?
That's right. She says, I work a little too much, but again, it comes down to servicing our clients, servicing, building networking. Just every part of business is something that we like to, unfortunately, micromanage. But it's great for our clients.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a micromanager myself, as the wife could probably attest to. But yeah, I mean, there is some good, and I can come from it, but some bad, and also, which Carly can also attest to. Oh, we have some questions. All right, Carly, why don't you
just yell?
shout them? Yeah.
Okay. Well, we did get, and can you tell us how important a good flow is to rocking a guitar at a live show on stage?
Oh.
We did get that from Jim, and then we also got, how did you get your education on painting?
Oh boy, my education on painting. So, well, first, you know what? I really want to know about the hair.
Right. So can you repeat the question quickly, Carly, for me?
And can you also tell us how important a good flow is to rocking a guitar at a live show?
Oh, how important a good flow is. Well, yeah, I was smart enough to cut my hair after I stopped performing live. I had left the group that I was with for a number of reasons, but if I was still a part of that band, I certainly would not have decided to cut all my hair off. I mean, how important is it really? It kind of depends on the genre as well, in a way. And obviously with like heavy metal, hard rock, long hair goes hand in hand with these styles, right? And then you see eventually Metallica, for example, they all cut their hair, right? So it is, I mean, it's difficult to say whether or not it's a necessity, but personally, I couldn't imagine being on stage with even the length I have now. Because throughout the 5-6 years I spent with the band, my hair was down my back. And I couldn't imagine not having that along with me on stage. I guess to put it simply, flow is incredibly important. That would be a personal analysis. But yeah, to sit up there and just bang my head as hard as I can without any sort of residual effect or without any generated wind speed or without it, I'd feel naked. I would feel naked in a sense. Although I did take my shirt off fairly often while I was on stage. I sweat a lot.
So does that leave me in the soft rock category or easy listening?
Yeah. I'd have to like switch to play in a funk band or something with a shorter hairdo. But again, no. I mean, hair length isn't that big of a deal. Obviously, it's more about a personal preference. But it looks cool, and it feels cool, and it helps you to kind of hide your face when you say if you make a mistake, because you be playing screw up instead of like, oh crap, your hair is just hanging in front of your face. If they don't see my face, if they can't tell that I screwed up, nobody heard it anyways.
That's right. It's curtains.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, certainly. But those are good days. Now I'm just getting sad about it and thinking back to all the good times I had. I will eventually be performing live again.
I'd love to see that.
I kind of pull my hair every once in a while. It helps grow it out a little bit quicker.
I tried that, but it kept going.
But yeah, thanks for that question, Jim. I appreciate it. It certainly any opportunity to talk about rockin' greatly appreciated. So.
I guess more boring. Where did I get my knowledge? My background is before any of this was IT, high-level IT. So it's all about formulas and punctuations and coding and all these kind of things. And I also worked in hazardous waste recycling as well as oil and gas in that field. So for me, it was all about understanding chemical formulas and understanding this. And it was like, absolutely, you need a glass of water with every book that you're having. And that's kind of where I learned that, is sitting back and going, well, most painters go, paint applies, it dries, it seems okay, we're good. I say, well, how much clay, how much solids, how much pigments do we have? How much solids are in the pigments? All these kind of things. Where's the formula at this paint? And that's where I did a lot of research, a lot of experimentation. We tested products for about 2 years before we started making some loyalties, brand loyalties, product loyalties, and then started putting it out on the market. Because again, like I said, the vapor permeability in the paint was really important to me. UV protection, so that you're in that dark house in a sunny wall. How important is that for it to last that color? Like, we had a client, 10 years ago, great guy Bob, and he called me up and he says, "Hey Mark, let's paint my house." And I said, "Sure." So it's white, and he wants this almost black color, like a dark gray. And I'm like, "No, Bob." I'm like, "You're going to get some hail. You're on the corner in Edgemont, and it's a west wall, and it's going to fade like crazy. And you're going to get hail, and we're never be able to touch this up." And he says, No. It's a great paint you guys got. Let's do it. So then he calls me back 5 years later. He's like, "Hey, Mark, let's do some touch-ups." And I'm like, "No, Bob, I told you about this." So we went back and got the product. It was a Dulux paint, Diamond Series, beautiful paint. We took that, and we actually matched the color, like the same formula, and went out and started doing little touch-ups on these hail damage. And after about an hour of it drying, it blended in to the point where I couldn't tell where the touch-ups were. And to me, that was like, wow. But that's what happens between a cheap paint with a great price, or a good paint, a good price on a great paint.
Right.
It's like everything else, right? You probably get a 5-year shingle if you really wanted to, but do you really want to do your roof in 5 years?
So what you're saying is that you kind of had to swallow your own words a little bit then, because you thought it would not be possible to touch up, and you were kind of blown away when you realized this is going over very smoothly.
And that's why we spend a lot of our time, researching the paints, researching all this, so that we can make things a lot easier for clients. Because I still believe in the DIY. I mean, I don't think you should be up 40 feet on a ladder doing DIY without proper training, but, there's a lot of ways. Like, we've got poles that extend 20 feet with paintbrush screws on. Touch it up from the ground. Yeah. There's a lot of things you can do where you don't have to spend the money on me. We like to take everybody's money, just honestly.
Right, of course.
And that's what we like to do our business
as well. Like, there are certain things I'll notice during inspections, right, that I mentioned. Don't tell Mike, but I'll mention to some of the clients, this is super easy to take care of yourself, these little things. I mean, no major renovations or repairs that need to be done, but there are certain things like, for example, bath fan replacements, for example. It's not something that we can easily cater to, because you do need, as a business owner, electrical permits and stuff, but for the homeowner to replace a bath fan himself, it's actually extremely easy to do.
It is.
And rather than try to upsell them or whatever else, I'll let them know that, hey, this bath fan, it's 50 CFM, and this bathroom is like 500 square feet or whatever it is. And you definitely need an upgrade. So
I need a bath in that bathroom.
Or even, most of the minor stuff I'd typically just do while I'm on site anyways, depending on what it is. But I understand the importance of just not milking the client dry at every opportunity, right? And allowing, or I guess, informing the client, or I guess just helping them to understand what is easy enough for them to accomplish themselves certainly goes a long way, because they'll think of you in the future, right? Okay, well, he wasn't just trying to sell. He wasn't just trying to sell this or sell that. He was there to actually inform me and actually educate me a little bit about what I'm seeing. So, and we probably turn away 10% of the clients that call for a quote every year. And I'm like, just do this, and it's easily rectifiable, because we have to bill. If we come out on site and we do any work, I have to bill. So I'm like, if you can just do this yourself, just do it this way. We'll give you the tips, the tricks. You send me a text. Show me what you've done. If you've had a little mistake, we can work you through that as well. And what happens a lot of those times, they say, well, I've referred 5 people to you because I know you're going to give them an honest answer, an honest opinion. You're really going to help them, and you're not going to just say, we'll take it all. You have to have a professional to fix, this caulking line beside the stucco. Yeah. It's no BS. No BS from Mark.
Absolutely.
Right, it's a good way to be, of course, as a business owner, especially if you're interested in growing your fan base.
Absolutely,
helping the company to grow in popularity and reputability as well, if that's a word, reputability.
Oh, it's definitely
help the reputation grow as well. I guess we'll put it that way. It's a very good way to approach business, of course. And from what I'm hearing, you certainly got it down pat.
And that's what's important. Like I said, with you guys have this great social media presence we're working on, but I'm not the social media expert. I'm like, the back end guy who's really good at the numbers and, the formulas and all that kind of stuff, where you guys seem to exuberate a little more personality than I have.
We can only thank Mike Payne for that. He always found it extremely important to, I guess, work humor into business in a way, not just on site, but obviously with our social medias and whatnot, you know, to share roofing stories and jokes and everything else and everything in between. You just
have guys sleeping underneath the the roofing wrap.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. He was always smart enough to incorporate that into the online presence that we have as a business, and obviously hiring professional photographers as well. And Mike was the mastermind behind starting up a podcast. I mean,
Absolutely.
Just knowing that, okay, well, I'm associated with somebody who could actually cater to the technological audio needs, we might as well do it. That's where I came in, and here we are, right? So I'm just thanking Mike for her taking an interest in branching out in ways that other roofing companies weren't, right? So
absolutely, and you guys done so great with the podcasts. I mean, I've seen things grow, and I've seen, you know, some of the great information with inspectors and realtors and
right.
and so many other the clients / you know, people that you work with on this podcast. And I mean, that's why we're really happy to be here and grow our online presence and,
right.
and grow into a better relationship with No Payne as well.
Right. Yeah, of course. I think it's been so far so good. I mean, outside of some of the technical difficulties that we've faced at times, I mean, like this is like our 4th or 5th podcast in this space, but having to set it all up again and reconfigure the setup considering the different space that we have and more limited space. And yeah, no, it's again, codes and formulas and making sure everything is integrated properly. It's very easy to just have one thing go wrong. Like, say, a couple of podcasts ago, one of the cameras was out of focus. I'm focusing on so many other things, and I work all day and come here sometimes half hour before we go live and blah, blah, blah. I'm just trying to cover my ass a little bit. Excuse my French.
But that's what our clients like about us, right? We're passionate about the business. We're passionate about,
course.
you know, the work that we do for them. We're passionate about just every aspect of our businesses, right? And that's why, like I said, it was great to you know, meet up with No Payne and work on these kind of things and see where we can grow this in the future. And you know, that's why we always have this motto: things go better with Dynamic. It's on all our websites. It's all on our gear. I mean, that's how you'll know our guys are on site, because everything's going well, and it proves it on their shirts.
Fantastic.
So, and that's what we try to take our business as well, right? Things go
Right.
better with Dynamic. So.
Of course, yeah. Well, you have to believe in yourself, of course, first and foremost. And
Absolutely.
with a printed slogan like that, you have no other choice but to deliver the goods, right?
Well, and that's what's important, is delivering to our clients, right? So we've been doing this since 2007 and gone from, you know, large commercial size stucco repair, you know, residential stucco repairs, moving into the painting, moving into the interior painting, moving into the higher quality projects. We've got some of our celebrity clients that we've worked with that are just a blast, and we've got,
cool.
you know, I mean, if we're working on a project in Forest Lawn or in Springbank, the scope of the work is the scope of the work, and that's what you're paying for, is the scope of the work, not the location you live in, not the name that you have behind the home or business. And that's kind of what we've always believed in. And I mean, and that's given us the opportunity to work with some great charities. That's given us a chance to work with, you know, some condo boards and just like a variety of homeowners. And we finished one house here that was actually moved from Springbank all the way up to Cochrane just recently, and we had to tie the stucco back together and hide some of the flaws they made in the foundation, and, you know, give it a full paint on the exterior of the house.
The entire house was moved.
The entire house. I mean, this is a 4,500, 5,000 square foot house that they pulled from Springbank and brought it all the way down through Pritis Golf Course and up by Cross Iron, and then way out west towards 30 minutes north of Cochrane. It was a local singer that used to own the house, and it was moved up there. And it was brought in two pieces. One was the garage, and then the rest was the entire house. And I thought, it's just incredible what...
Yeah, I don't even want to think about that.
No, me
I'll
neither.
have way too many questions that go into how that would be possible. Because I'd instantly think of just, say, like a mobile home or, you know, trailer park home of some sort, but
oh no, this is
talking
gigantic
foundation and
home.
all, right? We're talking like a concrete foundation,
Absolutely.
just up and out.
That's it. They moved this whole house, and I was like, how did you get this here in one piece? And we did another one a couple of years back that they moved from Edgemont all the way up to Cremona.
Right.
2 pieces. But we have to tie in the building envelope. We have to make sure that, you know, we're going to be watertight. And then after that, we've got to repair all the stucco and cosmetically and make sure it all
Right.
blends, and then give them a whole new look and put a stone facade in areas. Just
You've got to have some money to do that. Like,
I think
forget it.
so.
I don't want to move to a new house in Springbank. I want
Yeah.
this house, and we're going to move it to Springbank.
well, that's what I thought. I'm like,
Wild.
I'm moving and I'm taking my house with me.
Yeah, wow. I got to start playing Lotto Max, I think, more here. Holy man.
I think so.
Mike, Jim, we should certainly look into having somebody in that trade, if you could call it a trade, a home moving business. I don't know how to put it. We should certainly try to touch base with some local businesses that cater to this type of need that Mark
Absolutely.
has been describing, because obviously now I'm flushed with all these other questions. Better asked to that sort of professional, but that might be a cool episode up and coming.
I'm only good at what I do. So
Yeah, precisely. I don't know
I'm not
much
moving
about
your
houses.
house.
I don't know much about painting or moving houses, but I know a few things.
I got a
Maybe.
big truck, but not that big. So
So one question that I've
Absolutely.
just been waiting to ask, something that I kind of touched on, I think, in the description. Or wait, no, I think I removed it. Question was just how much more difficult repainting a house, say over stucco or wood, how much more difficult that is in the winter, and what sort of hurdles you need to jump over in order to do the right kind of job.
So we don't do them in the winter. So if we do them in the winter, the reason I don't is because we'd have to charge you maybe $5,000 or $10,000 for the hoarding. So where we put tarps all over the house, the scaffolding
Right.
all over the house, the heaters in there, and running all that kind of equipment. I mean, and it's noisy. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know if you've heard a tarp hitting the house at 100 kilometers an
Yeah,
hour,
yeah.
but it's made me have some nightmares. So I've woken up at 2 a.m. and I'm like, oh, my house is shaking a little. I wonder what that house is doing.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if whether or not with painting, whether or not you would need some sort of climate control in order for the paint to set properly. I know with stucco
Absolutely.
certainly, but with paint I thought it might be different.
Well, there is some of the paints that we use, we can actually do as low as 2 degrees on the substrate. So not 2 degrees in the air. If that wall is getting direct sun on a south wall, it might be 10 degrees, even though it's only 2 degrees outside. Or if it's a north wall and it's 10 degrees outside, it might be -2 on that wall. So, I mean, those are the kind of things you need to know. So we plan our schedule. We usually finish up by 1st in November kind of area, usually at the latest part of our season, unless we get those, great Calgary Chinooks.
Right.
But other than that, we work with those paints because, I mean, first of all, we need a 24-hour dry time, like full dry time. It's dry to the touch in 30 minutes on most days, 45 max. And then it's 28-day full cure. So it can chemically cure even if it's cold out, but we want to give the best product we can. So we don't want to have any imperfections in there. We're really cautious with all that kind of thing. We've had projects where we've started and said, okay, we're going to have to finish in the spring. And, we still don't take payment till the spring at that point,
Yeah.
which is the way that we'd like to do our business. But I'd rather do it right than push it and rush it, and then we have an issue.
Of course. So, yeah, it'd be better to opt out
Yeah.
when the conditions are not optimal, right? And
Absolutely.
I assume this time of year you move into more interior painting.
We do a
right?
lot of interior at this point.
Right, of course.
Right now we had to build scaffolding over a swimming pool for one of our clients' houses and paint some bulkheads in there, which is kind of crazy, and it's a lot of fun, but it's very climate controlled at that point. But I mean, we raise the humidity in people's houses from say 30% to 43% in a matter of an hour with the amount of paint that we're putting on the walls.
Oh, I see.
So
Right.
there's all these different things that people don't think about. So if you're cooking and you've got grease all over the walls, we need to know how to treat that. So in kitchens, we act things a little bit differently. We sand them out, we scrub them out with a TSP or something like that before we can start doing it, or some kind of a primer. We want that paint job to last a long time. So it's really important to really know your substrates, your preparation, like we've talked about before, and
Yeah, of course.
and temperatures. We heat up the house real good to dry that paint, and we open windows to get airflow, and like a lot of painters will do. I mean, that's why you see painters always look a little goofy. So all the paints that we're putting on the walls and all the humidity and
Okay, so if plumbers are known for their butt cracks,
yes,
painters are known for their...
just regular crack, I think, but
there's
it's not my guys.
Unfortunately, roofers get the same rap. Right?
Yeah, roofers and stucco guys and painters are at the bottom of the barrel, right? We just get mixed around in there, and it's like, Oh, you're a roofer.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to change that perception one job at a time, I suppose. Right?
Absolutely.
One live stream at a time. Right?
Absolutely.
Not all painters are bad or crackheads, but hey. Unfortunately, that's just the way she be sometimes. But
It is. I guess I don't fit the painter mentality. Everybody looks and it's like tall, slim. I'm like a little shorter, a little wider, you know. So I don't have the painter look, but I'll always be the friendly guy who's there to help out and make sure you get all the knowledge you
you'll
need.
be the big brain coming in. All right,
That's
what's,
it.
You know, see, half the words you use to describe the makeup of paint, I'm trying to remember now. But clays, you mentioned clay, you mentioned the, see, I can't remember now.
Polymers,
right.
Yeah.
See, I was just thinking to myself, this is much more involved than I had originally anticipated, right? Just the chemical makeup of paint on its own and just how big of a difference different levels of these ingredients can really have.
Absolutely.
Whether or not this paint is suitable for, say, inside the kitchen around high heat grease areas versus a bedroom wall versus trim boards. And yeah, my head is spinning.
With allergies, we've got high VOC and low VOC and no VOC. And, you know, these are the volatile off-gassing things. This is why when you walk into a house with a high VOC paint, it smells terrible for weeks and weeks. That's the off-gassing from the paint. It dries harder, dries faster, but it smells terrible. Some of the no VOC paints are getting better to the point of, you know, they dry a little faster. It's better for us to work with, but they're a little bit slower than the old products that we're used to, but they help a lot with the environment, the home environment, you know. I mean, as far as dealing with, you know, the like I said, the off-gassing, the, you know, durability, they've gotten way better over the years, and I'm really happy to see that. I mean, we used to spray lacquers without a mask way back when, and you'd be all goofy and your face is all white, and people used to kind of laugh at us or whatever else, but that was the best finish, right? Smooth and hard, but the technology's changed so much, and that's why you really need to know. So if you're looking for a painter, you're not looking for a painter. You're looking for an educated painter.
You're looking for a scientist with a paint gun or a brush.
I don't know if I want a scientist because, you know,
well, you're
might be
coming
too
off
expensive.
As a bit of a scientist, Mark, if I got to be completely honest.
I appreciate it.
Well, you're extremely knowledgeable about the products that you're installing, not to mention everything else. I mean, outside of the paint, I am impressed by you.
I appreciate that.
I was maybe paying a little bit or a little less attention last time. I wasn't the interviewer back then. I was just behind the desk tinkering and doing all the switching. But
you're the guy that made us look good.
Hey, yeah, thank you. In this case, the lovely wife is doing a great job. How's everything going over there?
Good, I think.
Good, you think? Good enough for me. I can't see it anymore, but that's okay. Right. Well, no. Again, I'm impressed by your learned demeanor in terms of commercial painting, residential painting, and stucco application. I seem to learn new things every time we stream, and this time around I am certainly smarter than I was before. My brain has grown by at least 2 millimeters overall, its entire circumference.
Well, that's what Mike does, right? Mike puts us in those positions where we have to learn, we have to grow. Yeah. That's why I like the podcast, because like I said, I mean, at the same time, I'm learning so much on the podcast. I've learned, you know, tons about roofing. I've learned, you know, just the network part of it all has been amazing. We do some networking with some different organizations and in network groups and network settings, lunches, things like that. And this has always been one of my favorite platforms. We've considered doing a podcast or a vlog. I think I'll definitely be sitting down with you guys before I even consider it. Right. So I'm so far from on the technical level as which I don't expect from roofers, but
yeah, I don't blame you with that analysis.
I'm used to seeing the Xbox and you know, up on the roof, not this high tech scenario that you guys have got us into,
right? And
but I mean, it's a great place for people to learn, right? I mean, there's so many things. Like we've all seen Mike Holmes, we've all seen Brian Balmer, you know, all those kind of things, and they're in ideal situations, but you know, us blue collar guys on the front lines that are not in the ideal situations, that are running into the problems where we don't have an unlimited budget, we don't have, you know, the unlimited staffing behind us. to be out on the front lines like this in these podcasts where we can learn so much and see the real problems and see, reasonable solutions and see economical solutions and professional solutions all at the same time instead of being, Hollywoodized.
Precisely. That's half the reason why we try to have a large variety of guests here, only to try to broaden the horizons in terms of what is palatable in terms of what you're learning, I suppose. The more you have to choose from and the more information that we can provide for a variety of trades and business individuals, it's only worthwhile for not only ourselves but the business owners as well as the audience.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I mean, we look forward to doing more of these with you and working with you on these podcasts and learning and growing and even spending time just watching the podcasts. And that's why we have a 24-hour kind of policy. If you've got emergency leaks on your stucco, we've got, we're available by chat on our website. We're available by phone so that people can contact us, not only, hire us for projects, but they can pick our brains and say, hey, listen, I've got a contractor who's doing this. Is this right? We'll give you free advice on this. We don't have to come into the project. We just want to make sure that you're getting the right product for the right application. Just to keep other contractors in check, to keep us in check. That way, we raise the industry standard a little bit.
Of course. That's a fantastic product or service that you offer. Just, I guess, a free source of information like that via the website that you have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And that's why we encourage our clients to reach out all the time, right? I mean, do feel free to text us, call us, chat with us right on the website. We have a live chat application right on our website. Our great guys at Conquest are building our website, and they're putting that all in. We're under development, so if we have a little issue here or there, just bear with us. We're just building it to better supply our clients and contractors and everything else to give them better information as well as everything else.
You are certainly focused more so on the client than anything else, and the kind of care that you've taken into organizing the website and the business model that you're operating is I use the word all the time, but it is admirable, of course, because not everybody is as put together, but considering your background and everything else, it only makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, the exterior of your home is really important, but the interior of your home is where you spend a lot of time in, and you want to love it and you want to really appreciate it. We do. We've got some products like this, Venetian plastering that can be done. We can help with that kind of stuff. It's fantastic. We've got feature walls. We can help design with all that. We can, built-ins. We can restore some of those old built-ins that are oak, instead of pulling that out for $40,000 or $50,000 for a kitchen, say, removing a full kitchen and reinstalling one. If it's oak and you're tired of it and you want that new white modern kitchen, we can respray it for a fraction of the price. Some of those built-ins, those California closets, the things that you spent a ton of money investing in the wood products of your house. We can change them to a solid color, which is what most people are doing nowadays, right? These beautiful white on white on white with accent colors on a wall. We can do that and save you a ton of money, and that's what's important.
Of course. I mean, money is obviously a pretty major object, and it's a first consideration before hiring any business.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, I think you've given enough information here for anybody who'd be interested in hiring you. I think you certainly had given them the right amount of information to make an educated decision moving forward.
And we'll be available, like I said, at the Home and Garden Show, and you'll find us at the Better Business, where our ratings are at, our Google ratings, Home Stars. We try to make sure that everybody's accessible to see what our clients think about us. We're spending some time, building our profile on I Trust Local, and a lot of these other platforms where we can be kept accountable.
Right. Well, you're on the right track. No doubt about that. So why don't I take the opportunity now to move into some more personal questions.
Absolutely.
Because it's been all business. It's been all business. And business is booming, and things have been changing. Obviously, moving into a new era, I suppose. Winter, aka
season number 2.
Yeah, precisely. Well, outside of all of that, I'd like to get to know you on a more personal level. I mean, considering you might potentially be inside someone's home for an extended amount of time, painting their walls, getting to know you beforehand would certainly be beneficial. So why don't you tell us about some of your favorite hobbies, interests, things of that nature? How about we'll start with music? if you like music, that is.
Music.
Some people don't.
Well, let me just tell you, unlike you, I have zero talent. I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. So if you hear me whistling in your house while I'm working away, you would be probably beneficial to ask me to stop. So music, I am a country lover. I'm a bit of a redneck. I'm a backwoods kind of guy. Still like my 80s rock. I mean, how can you go wrong with little Guns N' Roses or, the great hair bands?
Indeed.
Since I've lost all mine, I've kind of mellowed out and gone to the countryside. I'm waiting for my wife to come back, my truck to get fixed, and my dog to return.
Right.
Yeah. But in the meantime, I still enjoy the music. We'll do that a lot when we're working on site. We keep things a little quiet, but music is a good motivator.
Of course, inspiring, and I mean it can just really help get you through tough times or good times.
Absolutely.
It's always been a long time companion of mine, so I understand fully.
I don't dance well either, so if the music's on, please don't ask me to dance.
If he is dancing, pull out your cell phone, man. Start streaming.
There's America's funniest phone videos for you.
Yeah, that'd be funny. Yeah. No, I have a country bone in my body as well.
Oh, nice.
Although it's maybe it's exercised a little less than some other bones, but I am a big fan of Dixie Chicks, or say the Chicks now. It's all
Who isn't?
primarily female country artists because of my mother.
Oh, awesome.
All Shania Twain growing up and Dixie Chicks, and I can't even remember half the others
Terry
now.
Clark and...
Right. Big and Rich, well, not a female artist, but Toby Keith and Alan Jackson. A lot of stuff like that. But yeah, it's all
Jackson's my
classic
guy.
stuff. All like the 90s,
The 90s
area.
country.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you bet.
Growing up, I was born in '94, so a lot of what my
just a
mom was
youngin'.
listening to was all obviously '90s country, and then the subgenres started to come into play more early 2000s, and now we have full on like hip hop country and whatnot. There's so many
Bubba
different.
Sparks.
Bubba Sparks. Carly, write that one down. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, you'll probably like that one.
Right. So you mentioned being, say, backwoods kind of guy. I assume you like camping and all that. And
Well, how do we explain this? I guess I'm a backwoods kind of guy, but in a different sense. If I'm camping, it's got to be 52 feet with pullouts and a hot tub and
I get it.
satellite.
Glamping.
The old back doesn't handle it after carrying 100-pound buckets of stucco. And
even in the last 5 years or so, I am becoming more and more aware of that inevitability.
Absolutely.
Because I was, I was just single tent, like no blanket on the dirt with my friends partying for so long in the woods, and then now it's like, now I've got a really nice self-inflating mattress, and I've got a spacious tent, and I mean, slowly working my way towards hopefully a trailer and whatnot. But it's an inevitability. Anybody who,
you get older.
yeah, of course, and having a nice trailer and having those amenities certainly important. So.
And you got to remember, I think I've got kids probably close to your age, so the old bones, they just get a little tired after a while.
No, I understand. There's no shame in that at all. Like, cause I mean, you got to tone her down eventually. You got to start to tone her down and care more for your body and for your back. Not to mention, So
besides, we'd rather wreck our back out there snowmobiling in the backwoods. We like to get out there and brap, as they call it, or whatever else, and
biking's fun.
Climb some hills and do some great trails. Get out there and pull out the ice fishing gear on the lake and. Those kind of things. We'll save our aching body for that instead of sleeping on the ground.
Right.
There's been a few flips and turnovers over the years, and it's that's more of our backwoods kind of scene. So we like to play in the toys in the backwoods.
Right. That's also admirable. I intend on purchasing a bike in the future. I grew up riding a lot of my friends' bikes and never really had one of my own. But once I sat on like a 230 two-stroke for the first time, there's no going back.
No, they're so much fun.
Yamaha YZ 230.
I had one of those growing up.
Nice. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that.
I think it was a little older than the one you probably rode, but
probably. But
we still had the steel gas tanks.
Another thing that something we have in common actually as well is something we talked about earlier: emergency preparedness.
Absolutely.
And Mark was cool enough to bring some freeze-dried bananas with him for us to sample, which are like candy, surprisingly.
They're unbelievable.
Yeah, some ASMR. Pass me one. Yeah. But you mentioned purchasing a Harvest Right freeze dryer, which for one, I'm assuming they come in different models and sizes, but
Yeah.
to have a piece of equipment like that in terms of, say, emergency preparedness, food stores,
Absolutely.
food stores. See, I've got quite a few 5-gallon buckets, a lot of rice, Mylar bags, rice
Yeah.
and beans and all that. I've covered my bases, but slowly but surely.
Red
working
rice and
towards-
beans, right?
Yeah, slowly working my way towards more sophisticated equipment.
Absolutely.
But we mentioned, I brought up Canadian Prepper to you, an excellent
Yeah.
YouTuber. He has a store of his own, CanadianPreparedness.com.
Absolutely.
And I, of course, picked up one of his bug out rules that he
Oh,
had
cool.
built for himself. So I maybe not the fanciest piece of gear I bought, but
Still fun.
the most practical, functional organization tool for camping for anything, right? I use that
Absolutely.
every chance I get. But no, yeah, it's rare that I run into other people that are interested in emergency preparedness. Not to mention showing up with freeze-dried bananas and talking about his harvest, right?
Well, if you want to have some fun, that's one of the things we're doing. Over at the Home and Garden Show this year, we're doing freeze-dried Skittles. We are tired of the Costco chocolates. We're tired of the Werther's candies. So we are actually going to be the guys out there. We're going to have a little sticker on our little bags that say paintcalgary.ca. So when you stop by the booth, you'll be able to grab a little bag of freeze-dried Skittles, pop them around through the show, enjoy it, spend some time at our booth, because we like to blend everything we do into every part of our business, right? I came from an IT background, and I've had a restaurant when I was really young, and got into the oil and gas and chemicals and all that. So what we do is we try to take our business on the stucco side, or painting side, which is kind of like pretty manual labor, not really what people think are the most intelligent guys a lot of the times. And we try to bring it into the 21st century, right? Like the tools on the website to design your house, the scanning on site, all of our passions we try to bring into it. I mean, I love food. Food is my thing. So I'm like, who doesn't like freeze-dried Skittles? You gotta stop by the booth and grab some.
I didn't think that was possible.
Oh, they're
have
awesome.
I tried one? That's interesting.
They just get a little bit bigger. They get a nice little white line in the middle because it expands in the shell.
Right.
And they get super crunchy.
Cool.
So they're like Maltesers kind of crunchy.
Interesting. Okay.
And it intensifies the Skittle flavor. Like we do things like saltwater taffies. We do gummy bears.
Do you guys sell these?
No, can't sell these.
I want to order these forever. I should order
Got to watch out for the
just
Canadian
gotta-
Health Food
Yeah, you just got
Association.
to invite Mark to your podcast, and he'll bring a bunch of goodies with him.
So I'll bring some back for sure next time.
That's
But I
cool.
mean, you got to have a little fun, right, in life, and I mean beyond the business, the painting, the stucco, the roofing, the whatever else we do, we still got to be people, right? And people got to have fun. And I mean, we cook. Like we've got these great little pots that go in our snowmobiles, and we make freeze-dried chili, and we fire it into the pot, and then we were like, we're gonna be hungry in about half an hour or whatever else. We throw a little bit of snow in there with the chili, mix it up, go down the back road, and then all of a sudden, you got this hot bowl of chili. If you want more, take some of that more chili powder you got from the freeze-dried, a little more snow, drive around a little more.
Yeah.
It's great to have a passion, right?
Well, yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you just mentioned the freeze-dried chili, and I was thinking to myself, it might be a large purchase getting yourself a nice harvest right, but very quickly you'll save yourself a lot of money in the long run.
We probably save 25%.
Yeah, because
of our food
freeze-dried
cost.
meals now at wherever you go, they're getting more and more expensive. They're like 15 to 16 bucks now for a
For a
single meal.
cup of food.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's not even it's not a meal. It's a ration. And that's I don't know if you've seen me, but I'm not into rationing. So we do this kind of stuff. We do our pastas, we do our chilies, we do ground beef, we do every fruit and vegetable under the sun. We've done zucchini, and you don't want to try zucchini. Just like no, you got to put it in something because
Right.
it tastes like dirt.
You know what, yourself, even these
So-
bananas were like candy,
Unbelievable.
right?
Absolutely.
And I asked if you had treated them, if you had
Nothing.
right?
Nothing.
Flat in the freeze dryer, popping out.
Well, and that's the
Candy.
big thing about freeze drying, right? 98% of the nutrition stays in there.
Right.
And then 0 of the water, a little, Mylar bag, 5 mil or whatever thick, and then your oxygen absorber, 25 years it sits on the shelf. So if bananas are $40 each in 25 years, you get a bag that you paid $1 for or whatever else with the bag and the bananas and everything else. And you can pull one off the shelf and eat like 4 bananas
Right.
for $1 instead of $40 a banana, because we've seen the food prices.
Oh, that'll be an inevitability as well. Just these extreme hikes in food goods and
Absolutely.
yeah, no, that's another.
We do it for a lot of fun, right? Like, because I mean,
Right.
when we're doing this kind of stuff too, I mean, we do spices. Like I've got I don't know, a 5-gallon bucket of ginger, just shaved and freeze dried, and we make our own teas and whatever. So you got ginger and you put that in there. We got berries that are freeze dried. We put that in there. We mix it all together, and then you just got this nice tea for out in the backwoods or whatever else. Or.
See, babe, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one.
There's a lot of crazies out there these days.
Very seldom do you run into other preppers, right? It's very seldom. But to be able to sit and have a conversation about this kind of thing with somebody who has so much more experience, so much more time to put that energy into, right? It's nice because, as I said before, I covered my rice and bean bases, and I've got flour and sugar all put away as well. I've got lots of mylar. I spent a whole couple days sealing up all the spices and everything else, but then again, it's difficult to find the time, not to mention the resources, I guess, to say freeze dry things to the extent that I would like to.
Well, and it should be your passion, right? You should follow your passions.
Yeah, for sure.
I cook. So we make all our own pastas from scratch. We make our breads. We make everything from scratch. So now I thought about it. I'm like, if I freeze dry some eggs, and I freeze dry them raw, just mix them up, freeze dry them. Now I take them and I throw them in a bag with my flour, and then I throw a little bit of semolina flour in there, and I throw in some salt in there, and then I just add some olive oil in there, and I mix it up, and I put it through my pasta machine. I've got pre-made bags of pasta. My wife is terrible at making pasta. Sorry, honey, love you, but pasta is not your game. So when we make this stuff, now she just has to add water and olive oil, mix it up, and roll it out, and she can put it through the pasta machine. Really simple, just like something you buy off the shelf, but we make it at home.
Right.
And I know it's healthy. Farm fresh eggs, organic. And we can do that stuff to give us that Betty Crocker, I don't know if you can say that on here, but Betty Crocker kind of box food at a healthy, clean, organic food.
It is an act of service of sorts. What you were doing for yourself, for the family as well. I mean, of course, to be able to provide healthy meals, not to mention pre-made and stored like that, you certainly do not rely heavily on stores and the current stock, right? For those of you who haven't kind of picked up on the point yet, emergency preparedness is extremely important, not only with foodstuffs, but an abundance of other things that are very necessary in terms of long-term preparedness. But it's nice, as I said, getting to talk to somebody who's like-minded. And
well, even being a roofer, I mean, how many times do you have time for lunch? So when I make 25 spaghettis, we've got a microwave. We've been COVID ready since before COVID started.
Right.
So we're on the job site. We pull our trailer in your driveway. We drop it off, little 7x14. It's not in your way at all. But the nice thing is in there's a bathroom for our guys. In there's first aid kits, fire extinguishers, everything else, microwave. So now our guys come along and take a little bit of water, drop it in their pasta, fire it in the microwave, pull it out 2 minutes later, home cooked meal, and nobody has to be, eating fast foods, all these kind of things. Sorry about the fast food businesses, but, our guys, it's really easy for our guys. It's great on site, better energy, better everything else. That's why we're prepared on site as well. Yeah. So nobody's knocking on the door. Can I use your washroom?
Right.
No, they're in the trailer. We have our washroom, sanitation stations, all that kind of stuff. We keep all our stuff there. Keep it out of your kids' way, so you're not tripping over nailers, you're not tripping over anything else, or sprayers. All goes back in at the end of the day. Your dog's not chewing on a paint hose, getting toxic chemicals in their body,
right?
Things like that. We're always really, really careful with everything we do and prepared on site.
These things certainly boost morale, of course. Having these kinds of commodities or amenities at their disposal on the job site is certainly beneficial, and again, major morale booster. You sound like a fantastic boss.
I try to be, but my guys will catch me on some days and they'll be like, yeah, it's great. Other days they'll be like, but that's the nature of business. I mean, all I care is they're not in your bushes peeing.
Right, yeah, no doubt.
Which is really good. I mean, stucco trades, roofers, we all know that's where they end up.
Yeah, exterior renovators, we got a bad rap.
We do have a bad rap for it,
right.
So...
certainly going to have to take some notes based on what you described, because having a trailer like that for each crew would certainly save us a lot of time, and it would certainly boost morale. Of course, because guys are leaving to go to 7-Eleven or wherever to use the bathroom, things like that. It's only impacting production, right?
Absolutely. So we want to streamline things, keep the cost down for clients, and give you a great product and feed ourselves while we're doing it.
Right.
So,
Well, hey, fantastic, Mark. I'm happy you came by. I wasn't sure if we were going to stream or not still because I wasn't really sure. But we got Mike to thank for the directions that Mark got. But you made it.
Problem is Mike's got this secret, super secret, no pain podcast layer
Yes.
that nobody knows where it is.
Exactly.
So I'm just honored that I actually got to make it here in the secret headquarters at No Pain. And
Right.
sit down with you, Brody.
It'll get better and better. He has grand plans for this basement, for this entire property. All of these walls down here, we're gonna tear the walls down, open the space up. But
Awesome.
no, yeah, this is the early phase. This is just kind of keeping us going, so that we can, because our fans need episodes and local business needs showcasing. So
Absolutely.
keep on trucking.
Calgary's got it done right.
Yes, indeed. Well. Anyways, I wonder, we're probably running past about an hour and a half now, but no problems there at all. Just a curiosity of mine. I guess now would be a good time to thank our audience for reaching out, for tuning in other words. Hopefully, one of you can guess the mystery word. Again, I said it pertains to painting. That's all I can tell you. But the word has been said, and if you are able to guess it, you certainly have a chance at winning $500 cash. If you don't win the cash, you get a no pain prize. We have a whole bunch of them. You can look up our other prize draw videos to get an idea of what we have to offer. And we'll leave it up to you to guess away, and hopefully you win it. If you do win, we stream on Mondays at 3 p.m. Typically it's 3 p.m. Today was a little later, but that's okay because we are only human after all. But other than our audience, I have Mark. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for the goodies. You brought some bottles with you as well. And I couldn't ask for more. It was a great conversation, and I learned a lot about paint itself and the procedures and the chemical makeup of some of these products.
So things you didn't want to know?
Some things I didn't want to know. Well, didn't need to know, but
Yeah,
as I said, I
absolutely.
can feel my brain growing, swelling as we were talking. So I am grateful for you to be here as a guest, and again to talk with a fellow prepper is not very common. Mike is also of that mindset, as are some of my close friends. But
Maybe we'll have to do a prepping podcast one day.
yeah, no doubt. Think preparedness. I'm not sure if you've run into that or not. Canadian prepper, urban prepper, drop forge survival, and another. I think it was those four. They had, they kind of been streaming live talks together. They've done about 3 or 4 episodes. But anyways, I'm in the middle of an outro here. It's easy to get carried away talking prepping. Anyways, thank you again to our guests. Thank you to my beautiful wife Carly for running the desk, and thank you, Mark, for being here. Everybody, if you need any stucco or paint services, be sure to reach out to Dynamic Painting and Stucco Repair. Take care, everybody, and have a fantastic weekend. Bye-bye.